Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Katie Doherty, and I am the President and CEO of the Kennebec Valley Chamber of Commerce. Small Business Resource Team workshop today is on the value of coaching with the Maine Coaches Connection. Small business owners and leaders often feel the burden of responsibility for their employees' well-being and the pressure of making sound business decisions. Coaches provide support, challenge existing mindsets while maintaining focus on purpose and desired outcomes. This morning, we will learn how coaching can contribute to the ongoing success of your business and your overall satisfaction. Please feel free to enter questions in the chat box throughout the presentation, but we will have a time at the end for questions to be answered. We will also be recording this for a future reference, and we will link it to our website. At this time, I would like to introduce Jamie Morin, who will get us started. She will introduce the rest of our presenters that we also have with us today. Amy is the president of Point Syncrasy Point Coaching and Consulting. She also is our facilitator for our Kennebec Leadership Institute. She provides leadership coaching for individuals and teams, as well as meeting facilitation and operation consulting. And she is also the former service and operations executive at WEX. So please join me in welcoming Jamie.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see some familiar faces and names as people have entered the webinar, and we're looking forward to spending the next hour with you. So first, let me tell you a little bit about the Maine Coaches Connection. We're a satellite of the ICF-NE organization, and ICF stands for International Coach Federation. There is an ICF Global organization as well, and that's the largest coaching accreditation and certification or credentialing entity in the world today. And all of the coaches in Maine that have connected with our organization rely on us to keep them informed of opportunities to meet, to network, to share ideas. And we're generally about promoting the profession of coaching in Maine and keeping the coaches in Maine connected to one another and to broader resource groups. So we came together as an executive committee for the Maine Coaches Connection about 3 or 4 weeks ago, saying, we've got something to offer during this unprecedented time, and we want to find a way to help small businesses, particularly as they navigate through these unusual challenges. And so we reached out to our constituents and found that there were many, many coaches across the state that were willing to donate time to support small businesses. So that's what brings us here today. Before we jump in, I'd like to introduce the rest of the group of presenters today. With us is Janet Eastman. Janet is the founder and partner at Eastman Ware, and she has been working in the space of leader development, coaching, organizational development, and consulting for the last 25 years, based out of Maine, but working across the country. We're also joined by Gregory McHugh. Greg is, he's been in Maine for the last 2 or 3 years, comes to us from the DC area, where he worked in the federal government as an internal consultant and coach. And he currently provides management consulting, leadership coaching, facilitation, and speaking services through his business. And Carrie Walls, who also is recently moved to Maine. She lives in the Portland area on Peaks Island, and she moved from the other Portland, Oregon. Carrie runs the Coaching Collaborative, and she focuses particularly on working as a business coach and helping leaders to plan for their future, to increase income, and to work smarter, not harder. So we're going to hear from each of these folks today. The structure of the session is to start with a little bit about what coaching is, how it works, how it can potentially be of benefit to you. Then we'll talk a little bit more about the offer that we're making of pro bono service and how to connect with us to take advantage of it, and then do a Q&A. In the meantime, if there's something that comes up that is unclear during our presentation, just throw a question into the chat box and we'll answer it at that time. But when we go into the Q&A session, we'll use the chat box as well. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Greg to start to move us through our presentation.
Thank you, Jamie. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, looking good, thumbs up. All right, good stuff. Good morning, everybody. My name's Greg McHugh, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. I can see some of your faces, not all, so be sure to use the chat box when you have an opportunity or you have a question or anything you'd like to add to the conversation as we get going. This is meant to be an interactive session, so please do. So my job is to talk a little bit about coaching. I don't know if you can see the green lines on the slides. I don't know how that happened. That's already an interactive presentation, so we have some drawing on the screen. I didn't know you could do that, but very cool. So so here's what we got. We have a definition. I'm going to do a few slides about what coaching is, what coaches look like, what sessions will feel like, and so here's a definition: a thought-provoking and creative partnership that inspires clients to maximize their personal and professional potential, unlocking previously untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership. And so there's a lot of definitions out there about coaching, what you might call coaching. I've heard one person say coaching is the best gift you can give yourself. I've heard, other people talk about coaching in terms of courageous conversations. And so if you unpack this definition a little bit, it's a partnership between a coach and a client. And it's really meant to be a relationship of equals. So while clients might come to coaching looking for answers, it's really their agenda that drives the coaching relationship. And it looks at maximizing your personal and professional potential. So as I said, a client might come to coaching with a professional need or some areas to improve or some things to work on. And they might come to a coach with that kind of experience. But they also find during that relationship that there's a lot of personal things that come up. When you think about like your life and your work life, you don't really check your life at the door when you walk through the office door, which hopefully we'll all be doing soon. But that's really the point, is that you're both personal and professional. Untapped sources of imagination. So if you were to think about what's untapped in you, you might have, say, for example, a limiting belief about something or doing something, where you might not notice or have the awareness of what's getting in the way. So there is where a coach can also be incredibly valuable, just to unlock new ways of innovating around imagination, new perspectives, looking at productivity in your organization, or even your own personal productivity, and especially around leadership. At its heart, coaching is about leadership. It's about vision. It's about leading change. It's about empowering others, empowering your teams, bringing out the best. And really, it's also about courage. And here, I like to think about this distinction, which coaches will often use distinctions. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's mastery of fear. So that's fun for me to think about that, because if you really dig deep into what fear means to you, it can reveal quite a lot about what your next steps are, what your future holds, and so on. So a coach is creating that expansive space to allow you to look deeply into those things. So it's the opportunity to have a sounding board, to step back and work on the business, not in the business, as most of us tend to do. We work in the business, and oftentimes Don't take that 50,000-foot view from above and look down on the business. Think about what needs to change. Think about things that we can do differently. And that's where a coach can become very valuable. It's kind of, you could call it a coach approach. And I'll talk a little bit more about what a coach approach looks like here in a second. But coaching is really, like I said, it's a partnership. And I want to get you guys into that partnership mode already, and think about these questions. Now here, please, if you would, join me, take a piece of paper out. We're not asking you to share these unless you want to, but this is really just for you. It's just for you to start to think about some of the big pithy things in your life or in your business, especially given this crazy time that we're living in right now. If you could change one thing about your business, what would it be? So take a minute to think about, especially from that sort of 50,000-foot view. Think expansively about what that might look like. One thing about your business, what would it be? One way to think about it is, what might you want more of or less of? You know, taking something away, doing something differently, having less of something in your life is a way of saying yes to some other things that might be available to you if you were to do that. So how would making this change affect your business? And really, how would it affect your life? This is your life. Small business is your life. Am I right? So it's really, these are some questions to get going. So take a minute to write some of these things down. I'm not asking you to share them, but we will come back to these in a minute. So the process of coaching is, it's customized to your individual situation business. That's the key. When I said it's the best gift that you can give yourself, imagine having someone in your corner 100% dedicated to your success. That's what a coach feels like. It's really custom. It's a customized one-on-one relationship. And it's over a period of time. And it doesn't have to be, you know, it can be, I've heard some coaching relationships can go into years. Oftentimes they're about 6 to 9 months. Other times they're kind of what we call on-the-spot coaching. So around a particular, you know, topic or need. And especially for people that have been with a coach for a number of years and have taken some time off in between those periods, they might say, I just need some coaching on a particular topic or issue. So that connection, that trust is what is really the hallmark of what a coach client or coachee relationship looks like. So the coach and the client develop a clear goal in every session. So there's kind of the meta goal, we're working on your business success, but then in each session, there's also a goal. And the coach will be very active in terms of the way they listen. They're listening for themes. They're listening for what's underneath the surface. They're listening to your situation, to what's really inside. So it's almost like sometimes we think so much up here. It's like, take it 2 feet down and bring it into that level, you know, into your soul, into your gut. And powerful questions really are meant to evoke a new way of thinking. They're not just questions about moving things forward. They're powerful questions that really require you to dig deep, to think really hard about what it is. It can be, there's lots of different ways and different approaches that coaches use. But the point is, it's about new awareness. And that new awareness brings new perspectives. And those perspectives are the jumping off point. Those are the things that you can really hold. Those are the things that you can really understand to be new learning. And really what a coach is all about is forwarding the action, but deepening the learning along the way, right? So it's all about action plans. So there's learning that happens and there's action planning. And for every session, there will be action planning. And that really is a distinction between a lot of different ways, say consulting, you know, or even mentoring. We'll come back to that in a minute. But the focus is on results, capital R, results, your success, your issues moving forward. Okay, I can't see the chat, so I'm hoping that you guys are, if there's anything that comes up or whatever, you'll let me know. But I think if you have any things there and you can sort of notice what's different about coaching than others. And here I'm assuming that maybe, you know, you guys haven't had a coach yet. But if you had, certainly we're eager to hear what you thought of it and what worked well, maybe what didn't. Here's what coaches bring. It's a mindset. It's a coach approach. It's open. It's curious. It's flexible. But it's all about you. It's all about your success. It's super client-centered. And coaches are trained to be able to hold that and maintain that focus on the client and really being over there with you. Trained to bring out what you know. So as I said, you know, the difference between mentoring and coaching is kind of an interesting distinction, because in a lot of organizations, they put coaching and mentoring together. But really coaching, we're trained to bring out what you know. And there's a lot of different techniques that allow us to do that, because it's different than me telling you what I know. The difference being that it may not be relevant to your particular situation and need. And there's a real core belief that coaches believe you have everything you need to solve the problems that are in front of you. So how do we bring out what you know? And that's really what resonates. And that's really what keeps it going. And that's what keeps you excited, you know, about moving forward and keeping that momentum. So it's really, coaches bring valuable experience and expertise. So you might hire a coach that has experience in small business. You might hire a coach that has experience in leading change, or you might look for focus and presentations, or whatever the topic is that you're interested in. There's a niche basically for every type of coaching at this stage. So you can really be specific about that experience and expertise, but also remember, coaches are trained in core competencies or core ways of working. And so you can always count on a professional coach to bring that to your situation. And oftentimes experience in one area or one domain, while it may not look like it's, you know, appropriate for your particular situation, you might find that that person has got the experience and expertise that you didn't know you needed until you started to kick it around with that coach. So that's really what it is. It's a real partnership and a real connection that comes. And that's what you're looking for with your coaching relationship. Importantly, professional coaches all ascribe to coaching ethics. So that's what the International Coach Federation is, an association that we belong to, that has a standard, a coaching ethic and standard. And so confidentiality, which really is a hallmark of coaching, is maintaining the confidentiality between coach and client that allows for that open, truthful, trusting, spacious kinds of interaction. There are there's some limits, you know, so it's really confidentiality within the limits of the law, and that's important here. So for example, where there are situations where there's fraud, waste, and abuse that might have been brought into the conversation, or more importantly, where there's an intention to do harm to self or others, that's where a professional coach will do a timeout. And we're trained for that kind of work to notice where some of the things that we're talking about are way bigger than the container of coaching. Okay? So I'd like to turn it over to my dear friend and colleague, Carrie Walls, and I'm going to, through the magic of technology, we're going to hear from a business owner, and here's where I am driving. Okay.
So I can, as Greg has to do some jerry rigging on the
Yes.
to show the video, but we're going to give you a specific example of a business owner talking about the value he's gotten from coaching. And after we hear the video, we'll unpack it a little, because what he is talking about is a really, really common thing people face when in business, because they get into something because they love it, and the business grows, and pretty soon they have something they're not enjoying so much anymore. So he talks about that a little bit.
Hi, this is Carrie and Dave Collins from Clever Hiker. Hello.
It stopped working.
did you have the share? You had,
Yeah.
you were able to see it. So here.
Yeah, yeah, it was working, but then it stopped. So just, yeah.
Hi, this is Carrie and Dave Collins from Clever Hiker. Hello. Dave is a client of mine for a few months, and first I just wanted to ask him, where were you when we started? Like, why did you reach out for some assistance?
I was feeling very depressed, I'd say, in my just like general day-to-day with work, feeling unfulfilled, having a hard time being productive, and just I needed a boost. I needed some help. I needed some planning for, you know, this business that I built up over many years, but was having a lot of stress and anxiety about it, and needed some help on kind of focusing on, you know, how to move it forward.
Right. And this is a person dedicated to the outdoors, so he was finding himself in front of a computer way too often for too long, right?
Yes, lots of computer time.
Yeah. So a few months later, what progress have you made? What results have you made? What's different for you?
It's actually been quite remarkable. My enjoyment level with work has really increased a lot, and I'd say that I'm just feeling way more organized in the business and getting a lot more fulfillment out of it. Been able to bring on a couple of new employees, and productivity has been really skyrocketing. Our sales this year, we're having our best year ever. And
that's great.
Yeah, and feeling really good about it. And just in general, I think the weekly accountability and having someone to talk to who understands the issues that I'm going through has been really incredibly helpful for me.
That's great. Thank you. It's been a pleasure supporting you.
Yeah, it's been great working with you.
All right.
Okay, you can go to that slide. So Dave, cleverhiker.org is his business. He does some amazing reviews on hiking equipment, meticulous reviews. And he is an outdoorsman, and he knows how to analyze equipment really well. So what happens often in a business is we go into business because we're really good at the thing we do. So if you look at this, let me just explain it a little. We have the owner, CEO on top, and we have all the plates you're spinning all the time. You have sales and marketing that you have to do. You have operations or production. And what I mean by that is the actual work you do, like what you do to generate revenue, or what you do to get orders out the door, or that's the operations or production. Then there's the financial management, looking at a P&L, having a P&L, having it not in a shoebox, etc. And then you have HR and staff. You may have staff, you may not, but there's some people management perhaps, or people development. If you get to a certain lane of business, to keep growing, you have to produce results through others. So if your business is doing really well, eventually you'll have some sort of staff. Admin is just all the administrative stuff you do, emails, all that kind of stuff. And business of the business is where you really step back and look at the business, work on the business, not in the business. I've had many a client who the only business of the business time they spend is when they're talking to me. And that's pretty normal because there's so much flying at you usually. You're so busy, and we tend to focus on the thing that makes us money down in the operations or production. But you do have to learn to elevate yourself and look at it from a different sight line, because usually people just do the revenue production and then they try to do all the rest of it on the side, on the weekends, right before they have to file taxes, whatever it is. And then you end up having breakdowns in the area that you don't pay attention to. So Dave's a good example of, he started something because he loved this. And if any of you have read the E-Myth or the E-Myth Revisited, this is a really common thing that happens. You start something because you love it. Their example in that book is a baker. And pretty soon she does it because she loves baking. And pretty soon she's managing everybody and she hates it. So it's really a common thing that happens. But how do you learn to run a business and pay attention to all those? So with the coaching with Dave, it was really about how does he develop others? And a common thing that happens for owners is they're so good at what they do, and they develop themselves over time, that when they try to develop others, they try to delegate. They don't like how the person does it. Then I say they make them wrong and take it back. So then they never get to the next lane. And it takes some practice to get the gold out of them, because Dave's developed this over time. He's always watched. It's an affiliate site where he makes his money through REI and Amazon sales when they click on that in the review. So he's developed it over time. He knows what works, what doesn't, and how does he get that into somebody else. And so we've developed a lot of training things about how to develop staff, how he's never managed anyone before in his career. So and he's managing remotely. They were remote before everyone was remote. So it's a challenge. And if your business grows, you have new challenges at the next lane of the business. So this is it's a really common thing that happens, and coaching can help you focus on the different areas, be consistent, not drop the ball. Because if you don't pay attention to a certain area, that's where you end up having it go off the rails. It was like, because you can kind of see down below, you could be going from sales and marketing over to admin, over like, oops, I don't have any cash in the bank. I got to produce more. You could just run yourself ragged down there, and it really helps to elevate yourself. So you're holding all of it and not just focusing on one area. Can you relate, and open to anybody in the chat room at the chat as far as, examples of that, or times you face that? It's just coaches can actually we help people over time and see patterns in what happens. And this is a really common pattern. Or any other coaches who have something to add, or this is where I love Zoom, right? I like to talk to people. Anyway.
We don't have any questions in the chat room at this point, Carrie.
Yeah, okay. It's just, it's really hard to step back and look at it from a bigger perspective, especially now with the current situation, new challenges, so much coming at you, that I've had some of my clients, the ones who can be really creative in the face of these circumstances, are doing better than those who just got knocked off and they can't get themselves back up. And coaching can help you be resilient, be flexible in the face of challenging circumstances, which we are definitely in right now. So.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. So the slide that you're looking at now really gives you an overview of some of the outcomes and results that people have reported. This information is the results really of a survey done by the ICF that Jamie referenced, our global ICF organization. And you can see there's 9 particular items that are listed there, but they're also connected to each other, many of them in many different ways. Coaching is really focused, really value to your business, to you personally and as a professional. And so these are some of the things that people report that they get out of the coaching relationship. And you'll see the number 1 there is improved communication. And that one is one that certainly is related to many others. It's related to managing conflict. How do I communicate when I have a conflict with somebody, or I'm working with a difficult employee? It also, is related to increased productivity and performance, because how well you communicate what you want done, how well you communicate your expectations, how clearly you do that's all related. And, as Carrie referenced, when we are working in small business environments, particularly, you tell someone what you want them done, and sometimes it's just not done. It's done so informally, people aren't clear what's really expected of them. So they go ahead and do something, and then of course they didn't read clearly what was on your mind, and you never expressed it clearly, so it doesn't happen that way. Other things you'll see here as impact is self-confidence, self-esteem. When your productivity goes up, your communication is better, things happen, you feel more confident. So they're byproducts. And we were having a conversation the other day, and it's like nobody comes into coaching thinking I want to increase my self-confidence, so I'm going to hire a coach. But it, as you can see, is often a result. You feel better, you feel more confident. A good example also, the work-life balance. That was really the case that you just heard as he spoke about where he was at. He was no longer enjoying the business. And I think no matter where I'm working, in small business or large corporations, this work-life balance one is really something that everybody struggles. And it does take some examination, some challenge, some really rethinking, how am I doing myself in the workplace, oftentimes, to be able to set good boundaries and get clear about what it is you really want to get in your business and what you want to get out of the work that you do. So obviously that's connected to your well-being as your work-life balance goes up. And another one I'll mention is the business management strategies. That's a role we often play with our clients in terms of examining somebody's decision making, your point of view, your perspective. What strategies are they using? Are they working? What else have you tried? What does your intuition tell you? We do brainstorming and a variety of other coaching techniques to really get you to look at how you're running your business and why you're doing it the way you're doing it. So these are all outcomes that people report, and it is our goal and our profession is about really supporting you in really getting what you want out of your work life and out of your business. So we're very goal oriented, very much want to be a value add. Can you switch the slide there? So as Greg first introduced the questions about you and what was your greatest challenge and what do you want more of and what do you want less of, to give you an example of the kinds of questions and the way that coaches work, this is another set of those questions. As you think about what you answered for those, you can see these are kind of bringing you down a little bit further. The first question is a wide open question. These start to get a little more inward and a little more targeted. So what would you want your success or progress to look like? And what word do you use? We very much every session, as Greg said, there's a big goal and a small goal. So every session, no matter if it's a half-hour session or an hour session, really starts with what is going to add value and move you forward today. And so we clearly establish the target and the outcome you're looking for. And then as coaches, we use questions, we challenge, brainstorm, we do a variety of techniques so that at the end of our session, you can honestly say, yes, this was valuable and well worth my time.
Can I just add?
So I guess we're over to a comment. Go ahead.
Can I just add something? The video was an example of, like Dave's business is very successful, but his fulfillment was down. And as his fulfillment increased and he hired people and he got off the computer a little more, his success, then he got more creative about his sales. He added something on his website about why you can trust us. And then his sales shot up. So they're related to each other. If you're unfulfilled, it affects your viability and your success. And, you know, it's easy to focus just on success and forget the fulfillment. So they go together.
Absolutely. Great points. Yeah. So, Jamie, I don't think we have any questions in the chat box.
We don't have any questions yet. We'll pause here and see if anybody would like to ask something. Give it a few moments.
Or if anybody's had an experience with coaching that they want to add, positive, maybe not so positive, or with them now. I mean, it's an unusual time. I certainly think there's a market for suits with shorts instead of long pants now that we're all on calls. I'm teasing.
And what are you wearing today, Greg?
Well, I gave it away. I did. I gave it away. But I definitely, yeah, go ahead.
So Greg, why don't you go ahead and move to the next slide,
Okay.
since we don't seem to have any questions. And this is how you can take advantage of what we're offering. So we've got a group of more than 24 coaches from across the state that can support business leaders, business owners in some of the ways that we've been talking about this morning. You can sign up by sending me an email at jamie.morin@synchronypoint.com, and I'll put that in the chat box as well. If you think back to the questions that Greg asked and then Janet had you reflect on, it would be useful to us if you would like to be part of this, if you could include a sentence or two about what you think you might like to get out of coaching work. And we will assign you to the group of coaches. And Lori Curtis is on this call, and she's one of the coaches who has volunteered to do this work, along with those of us that have been doing the presentation this morning. And as I mentioned, more than 20 others across the state. So we really hope that that you take advantage. And if you think you might be interested and you want to put that in the chat box, that would be fine. Or you can send me an email directly. And with that, I think we're ready to wrap up unless there are any other questions. So I'm going to put my email address in the chat box so that it's there. And Katie, I think we'll turn it back over to you.
Perfect, thank you. So just to reiterate that, thank you so much for offering free pro bono work to our small businesses right now, especially during this time. It's a crazy time, and I think we could all use some kind of direction. So thank you, Jamie, Janet, Jerry, and Gregory, and Lori as well for volunteering, and the whole Maine Coaches Connection. I would like to extend an invite to you all to attend our Chamber Connection on Wednesday at 10 a.m. It's going to be with Congressman Golden, and he would like to do a small business listening session. So it's completely free and open. He would just like to hear feedback about how things are going right now for small businesses and how you're being affected through this all. So please feel free to join in on that. You can find the link on our website at KennebeckValleyChamber.com. So thank you again to everybody who joined us this morning. Please reach out to Jamie, or if you didn't happen to get Jamie or you want to follow up with me at all, let me know. This is a great insight to the coaching world, and please take advantage of what they're offering. It's great. Perfect. Well, at that point, we'll end the meeting, and I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. Thank you so much.